Excellent, and welcome to the TADSummit Innovators. We have Lyle Pratt, who I've known for quite some time, all the way back to his startup, BetterVoice. He's worked through an interesting range of companies, so has a ton of experience and is currently building Vida. Lyle, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to, be face to face, at least electronically. It's been a while,
It certainly has.
face to face, but yeah, I'm doing good.
Lyle now has grey hair, but as I was pointing out, he's still way behind me. And of course, as always, Johnny. Johnny, how are you?
I'm living La Vida Loca. And yes, you do have a lot of gray hair, and yes, you need a haircut. But yeah, I love the name. I'm excited to jump into this with Lyle.
Excellent. So maybe, Lyle, you can kick off with, explain what BetterVoice did.
Yeah. So BetterVoice was one of the first entirely web-based business phone systems. So when we started out, we actually built it on top of Twilio's API back when they were new. This was, 2010-ish. And we started getting a lot of interest from white label partners for our platform. And at the time, Twilio hadn't really scaled themselves, and it was pretty impossible to scale on top of their platform just from a pricing perspective, especially as you moved up market.
Yeah.
And so we ended up kind of cloning the entire Twilio voice and messaging API stack on top of our own software. And it was excuse me, an entirely compatible API layer. And ultimately, BetterVoice was acquired by Inteliquent while they were still public on the NASDAQ at the time. They were watching Twilio prepare to IPO, as well as, watching a number of other CPaaS players move into their territory and wanted to compete.
Yeah.
So they acquired BetterVoice and my team and our customers, essentially for me to help them build out their API stack and their CPaaS layer inside of Inteliquent. So
Gotcha.
yeah, very familiar with CPaaS market and the technologies used under the hood. But yeah, that's probably a good summary, right?
Cool. No. So when you built out your own platform with BetterVoice, what was the core engine you were building around?
Yeah, it was built on top of FreeSWITCH, like most other like most other innovations in this space
Yeah.
these days. But we had a custom event socket application layer that communicated with FreeSWITCH, and that's how we supported Twiml, as well as a number of other things we needed on the platform.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And one of the things that's always impressed me, throughout your career history is your go-to-market. How you got to market with BetterVoice, how you got to, when you were building out for the larger corporations. So, what drove you for that sort of, white label partners, that sort of channel model?
Yeah, if you look at the SaaS industry, selling to SMBs, so selling SaaS products to SMBs is known to be a difficult thing to buy. And that difficulty is the reason why the channel partners, exist. Just look at every player, every big player in the UCaaS market. They have a channel as a sales efforts. Small business owners like to, shake somebody's hand and have somebody, in their business, and they like to have somebody to call. And that's no different for selling, business phone systems back in the day when WebRTC and stuff like that was new.
Yeah.
And with Vida, we don't think it's going to be any different with selling these AI phone agents.
Gotcha. So maybe you could give a little bit of background on what drove you to create Vida, because I think it's like a 2-year-old startup now. Is that correct?
About a 2-year-old startup. We've been building, I would say for about a year, a year to 18 months. We've had a paid product, available for people to sign up and use for about 6 months. What led me to build it is just watching the LLM Cambrian explosion that has happened, over the past 2 to 3 years. While I was at Inteliquent, Sinch, and just looking back at like all the things that we had built at BetterVoice and all the things that we built inside of Inteliquent, to do things like, make building IVRs simpler and building, simplistic decision tree, chatbots easier, for businesses.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is a lot of that stuff is is going to get thrown away, over the next 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Because LLMs simply fundamentally change, how you can interact with systems over the phone.
Yeah.
It's no longer about building these systems that are essentially big decision tree systems, but you can actually communicate with these things. They can dynamically run functions. They can interact with third-party systems. In a lot of ways, just like a person would, and it's going to change the UCaaS market, the CPaaS market, the contact center market. It's all to change.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of BS flying around at the moment. As yes, we have AI. It's all done. It works perfectly. Because I still see some companies struggling in, containing the answers. They're like, RAG solves the problem, but then RAG doesn't. It creates very boring answers. You allow basically OpenAI or whatever LLM you're using complete free reign, and then there is a percentage of times that go, oh, we don't have any in stock. But we do. No, we don't have any in stock. You'll get that sort of just complete garbage that comes out. So I'm just interested in your experiences in the creation of Vida with this, chatbot.
Yeah.
Driving driving that product.
Well, hallucinations, from LLMs is definitely still an unsolved problem. There's a lot of things you can do to put guardrails around it, so at least too far, off the rails.
Yeah.
But if we think about it, it's really not all that different than bringing on a new support employee that doesn't know all of the details about the organization and what they should do in different situations.
Gotcha.
So the problem is similar. Our view is that those problems are going to eventually go away.
Yeah.
They're not going to be problems forever.
Yep.
And building this product for the future, and necessarily for the capabilities that exist today. While the product is great today, and we think it's we have people sign up for it and use it and create their own AI agents every day, but everything is going to improve, whether that's the realism of the voices, the quality of the LLM outputs, the quality of the speech to text engines, every single of these AI phone agents is going to improve rapidly, over the next few years. So we shouldn't, we shouldn't bog ourselves down in, issues today when we know they're not going to be issues tomorrow.
Gotcha. So
that's the best answer I've heard yet, Alan. So we've had a couple of podcasts with AI. We had actually Brian West from Signal Wire and talking about garbage in, garbage out, that type of thing. But the best answer I've heard yet on hallucinations is, look, it's just like we hired 5 or 6 morons. We didn't train them. So it's just equivalent to, I guess, some of the morons. And if you look at it that way, you kind of accept it more in the sense of, well, AI is not good, and they hallucinate and they say all these different things. Yeah, there's a few morons, but it's not like it's going to impede where the industry's going or where the product's going. But that's something that me and you have been hung up on, Alan. And I haven't heard anybody intelligently answer it like that, to where it went like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'll never ask that question again. It's just, it's going to perfect itself. But that's I haven't heard that yet.
Well, if you think about it, bringing on like one of these AI phone agents is, it's similar to bringing on a new employee, right? You have to give it proper instructions. You have to give it proper avenues to like escalate, things when it doesn't have all of the resources. Oftentimes you can eliminate hallucinations just by giving the LLM another option instead of making something up, right? Yeah. Like just prompting it with something like, hey, if you were not given the information to answer, a question in this prompt, well then, forward the call to a person, or something like that. But, it's like bringing on a new employee, and new employees aren't perfect either. But, the thing about these LLMs is that the cost of raw intelligence is being driven to zero, in front of our eyes, right? And so the crazy thing is that, spending on software is going to now begin to encroach on spending on human resources,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, simply because this cost of intelligence is being driven to zero by, these innovations in LLMs.
Gotcha.
So, the problems are going to go away. More modern guardrails are going to be invented, to keep the LLMs on track. But for the vast majority of use cases, especially for small businesses, they want something that can help them schedule an appointment, tree trimming business, right? They want something that can screen their calls and make sure they're only getting, calls forwarded to them from people that are actually interested in, buying from them, right?
Yeah.
These are not super complex problems, but LLMs present an order of magnitude better solution than like traditional IVRs, let's say.
Yeah, understood. Now, with Vida, what are some of the projects that it's built on?
Yeah, so we run on top of FreeSWITCH. We built out our own media cluster, and scaling mechanisms. My other co-founder, Brandon Robinson, he also joined Inteliquent through a startup acquisition. He's also a longtime telecom guy. Both of us are get our hands dirty, and build things ourselves versus the traditional, what I would call rack 'em stack 'em robots in in telecom engineering.
Yeah.
But our media cluster is built on top of FreeSWITCH. We also run on top of Dave Horton's Dractio project. So we have a large custom code base built on top of the Dractio, JS SIP processing engine. Dave, I don't know, but I've been contributing to Dave's GitHub repo gift thing, and then we convert it into a support contract. And I mean, Dave's great. What he's built with Dractio and Jambones is honestly staggering. The amount of stuff that they've built with such limited resources. So definitely check them out if you're trying to build something on top of FreeSWITCH.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is an impressive project, and Dave's impressive. It's a great community, and it's got some of the best people in programmable comms using and contributing to it. So it's a very quality built, scalable platform. But that's great. Thanks for providing that. And again,
I have a couple of questions. So obviously, I'm a big FreeSWITCH fan. They have the best marketing ad I've ever seen in my life. Where you got to send it over to Lyle. It's
of course, we use FreeSWITCH.
Yeah, of course we use FreeSWITCH. But I mean, I'm looking at some of your customers here: Ring Central, Vonage, 8x8. These are all billion-dollar companies. So you're talking about small medium business, but you have some really large brands here using you.
Those are not our customers. Those are PBX platforms that our voice agents integrate with. So
okay.
We are still pretty new. Most of our customers are small and medium-sized businesses. We do have some partnerships with some, NetSapiens resellers like Verve Cloud. They're about a $30 million business, something like that. Selling NetSapiens seats. So, we believe that, UCaaS isn't going to look the same as a part of this whole change, right? And, people are going to have these voice agents bundled, with their UCaaS seats.
Yeah.
And part of our strategy is to make it as easy as possible to turn one of these on top of a NetSapiens seat or a Ring Central seat or an 8x8 seat.
Gotcha.
Got it. And as far as like what SignalWire is doing now, because I knew that we had them on the show and they're doing a lot of stuff and they've raised a lot of money. Do you view yourself as a competitor to some of the offerings that they have, or do you view yourself as,
somewhat, in this space, like everybody's, I suppose, competing with each other in little ways. I mean, I would say that, we have a slightly different view. Like you can use our developer API to build a voice agent, and build your product on top of our platform, but ultimately we're biting off the hard problem of actually creating a user experience that, Joe the plumber can sign up and use and get value from, immediately. So, we do have a retail product, we have Android apps, we have iOS apps that make it easy, to get one of these things going off the bat. I mean, again, ultimately, we think these things will be bundled as a part of UCaaS services, that are sold from a variety of platforms. and biting off the problems of designing a UI and a UX that is simple enough for people to actually understand and manage, and identifying the problems that they encounter every day when they're actually using these services. That stuff doesn't just happen overnight, and you can't solve those problems just by offering developer solutions. Those the last mile or the last 15% of the getting a product into real customers' hands is always the hard part.
Yeah.
And then add on the complexity of being able to sell and bundle these services as a part of channel offerings attached to other PBX systems. There's a lot of tech problems that need to be solved. There's a lot of UX problems that need to be solved. There's a lot of sales and distribution problems that need to be solved. And that's what we're focused on.
Like ServiceNow, all the plumbers, and those are the type of customers you're going after.
Yeah, we kind of think of it like this: like we cast a very wide net across the market with our web presence, and our ad targeting. Yesterday we had a tree service guy sign up, we had a plumber sign up, right? Those are the type of people that are coming in through our online funnel and making a voice agent to do something relatively simple for them, schedule appointments for them,
Exactly.
bring calls for them. Offer an estimate, based on the level, information about like how tall is your tree, things like that.
You're gonna laugh, but that's really big.
These are relatively simple.
The first thing anybody cares about is how much.
But exactly, it can bring a lot, to a small business owner who's on the road all day, driving from appointment to appointment. They don't have time to answer their phone, and talk to customers. And this is honestly like a lifeline for their business.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we also have done some key integrations. Like we've integrated with Cox Auto. Cox Auto is used by about 70% of auto dealerships in the United States for their service scheduling. We've got some auto dealerships using our voice agents because honestly, it's ridiculously easy to set it up. We have this sort of pre-built template that if you're an auto dealership and you use Cox Auto, you can have an AI agent schedule maintenance calls via SMS, email, or voice, on day one. And it's way cheaper than paying someone, $20 an hour to sit at a desk and do it.
Yeah.
It's updating the appointments and canceling appointments and whatever else in their live system. It goes straight into the same system. Another example is we're working on an Athena Health integration for, which is widely used in small healthcare practices. So we have a partner here in Austin, Austin Cardiology Group, that's working with us to sort of be the marquee first user of this Athena Health integration. But it's a similar story, right? They don't need anything super complex, but they have hundreds of people calling them trying to just schedule appointments every day, right?
Yeah.
An AI agent can solve that problem. And, for us, like these are much higher value customer targets that we can actually focus sales efforts on. So our sales efforts are focused on these, market niches that have these integrations that cover a wide swath of, of what the market participants use. And our online business is focused on making it as easy and as simple as possible for, SMB owners to get their problem solved.
Yeah. No, I
mean, it's brilliant. I mean, just today in the Wall Street Journal, there was a story on some of these large companies that have raised millions and millions of dollars now going belly up and selling out to the big techs. And you can see it just today. So you really, when you say the word AI, me and Alan joke all the time, it's $1 trillion grift. And it's already starting where you have a lot of these companies that have raised all these big money that want to compete with OpenAI and Microsoft and all these different players. And you're just starting to get integrated now back to the tech companies because they really can't compete. So you're basically going to the masses, to the people with practical solutions right on the front end. So there's probably like a zero chance of you failing because just based on the customers you told me, from a tree service to Athena, whom I know, to Cox Auto and auto repair. I mean, just yesterday, Alan and I were on a call with this guy, and I kept saying, "Look, I just want the price, man. Just give me the price." For 20 minutes, Alan, I sat there. I got to go. I don't want to talk to you. I just want the price. It took me 20 minutes to get a price.
Yep.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like the class.
Maybe we should send them Lyle's number. Hey,
Exactly.
hook up with Lyle.
Yeah,
So next time we
absolutely.
go, you don't have to get on the phone with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, they need to sign up.
Oh,
Vida.io.
it's so annoying. I can't tell you.
Yeah. But I could
you-
definitely see with like the tree service because they're busy. They're always calling you in the evening. Well, I'm busy in the evening. I've got basically shuttling duty for basically whole sorts of sports and dinner and all the rest of it. So yeah, then it's into telephone tag. So it's always a race to who can get back quick and then come and view. Now, just one question, because is it a quote or is it an estimate that's provided by your engine?
It's an estimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's big. You know what it costs to take down a tree? At least up here in New York? Crazy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Crazy
a
money.
lot of times the people calling, they just want a bit of information. Can you do this job?
Okay.
When can you do this job, right? Is there an appointment available, within X, Y, or Z, right? And the business owner just wants to know that, is this a legitimate lead,
Yep.
that I should actually spend my time, calling back and discussing the details, or, driving to their house, and looking at their tree as an example. These are not super complex problems. The technology available today is totally capable, of solving them. But the range of problems that can be solved by this is only going to grow.
Exactly.
The ultimate market.
Time. You're saving the company time. You're saving that owner of the tree service company time. I know a little bit about that. My neighbor had to get his tree cut. He had like 3 different groups here, and he was running them all around. It was like $20,000 to cut down his tree. I'm like, $20,000? Get us off. Let's do it ourselves. You know what I mean? No, can't do that. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. 20 grand to cut down a tree.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a little excessive.
Well,
No, I don't know how it is anywhere else.
with signal wire, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is a giant market. I mean,
Yes.
it is absolutely massive. Spending on software is going to begin to mix with spending on employees,
Yeah.
in a variety of different ways. So we're not going to be the only game in town, but, we're focused on solving the hard problems of building any business, which is, creating a product that customers want to use and having a distribution channel to actually sell it.
That's key. That's key.
It goes back to sort of the common trope about first-time founders versus, second time or third time or fourth time founders. It's all about ultimately distribution, and whether you're solving real, customer problems.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that's always what's impressed in the businesses you've created, is solving that go-to-market with that minimum viable product. Just
I'd make a bet on you guys, because a lot of the people that I've spoken to are just geeky guys. They know how to build shit, but don't really understand what the hell they're building it and why.
I mean, honestly, I'm lucky because I have 2 co-founders. Noah Hayes, he was actually my college roommate. We had a little startup in college that we sold. He moved to the Bay Area. I moved to the Austin area. His last gig was actually entrepreneur in residence at Gradient Ventures, which is Google's AI ventures arm. So he's also very tech hands-on, but has built other companies before and scaled them and sold them, and knows about what it takes to actually build a real business. And Brandon's the same way. Brandon, we've all built this platform ourselves. But we've also built and scaled businesses before. So we're not here to just build some fancy things. We're here to actually solve the problems that we know every other UCaaS provider out there, 8x8, Ring Central, all those guys, their product managers are going to wake up 12 months from now and they're going to be like, oh, what are we going to do about this? Because we need, some AI agent capabilities that can actually be attached to these systems so that people can get the same kind of value they're getting at these other things.
Yeah.
And the entire industry is going to shift.
Exactly.
Well, they're actually worried about their stock prices. So I don't know if you've seen any of the stock prices of the companies that you're mentioning. They're pretty much toast.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are worried about that. Unfortunately, it's
that's the only thing they should be worried about, because at the end of the day, they're all belly up. 8x8 is like $2 a share. Where they go, they're toast. So these they're just toast.
Well, they're having delivery problems with some of their AI features. So, I mean, we're seeing some of the potential targets and the struggles they're having, because, again, it comes back to having the expertise. having the experience to get something that works in very constrained problems. Because again, with the plumbing, with the tree service, on the healthcare, you constrain the problem, you put in the prompt engineering so that you can avoid, as you say, if you can't answer, take it to an agent. So you constrain it down so that
Alan, 8x8 lost over $10 billion in market cap, down to $300 million.
yes,
Toast. They're just closing the doors.
Well, unfortunately, they've lost a load of really good people.
You know me. I analyze companies. I look at stocks.
Unfortunately, the entire industry, really overexpanded, got crazy during the COVID area, and all the chickens are coming home to roost now.
Yep, exactly. So where are you taking Vida? And are you looking to raise funding for scaling? Or are you just going to self-fund?
He just told you where he's taking it, Alan. He's got his partner who was at AI, Google Ventures. They built the company. They've had exits already. He's already got it mapped out. He's lighting up the market. And he's going to flip this thing in 2 to 3 years. Am I right?
I don't know about flip, but everything's for sale except for my soul and my family, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you build things to be sold, or to exit, or to merge, or this is impressive. It's really nice to meet a founder like yourself. Really impressive. I mean, you've already succeeded.
Well, to answer your question, Alan, it's going to be a journey just like it always is. But we think we have a good idea, about where we're going. This is a market that, we understand, that we've operated in before. We know how business gets done, in this market and what people want. So, we're going to focus on continuing to build out our integrations. Integrations are vitally important to what these AI agents do. If you think about it, like if your employee can't actually access your business systems, it can't actually be productive.
Exactly.
Why these integrations, like with Athena Health and with Cox Auto, that's why they're very, very important. We build out a very big business just focusing on car dealerships and healthcare clinics, if we wanted.
Exactly.
So we're going to continue building out our channel partner tools. We're going to be launching like a partner dashboard here in the next few weeks.
Cool.
Which will be pretty cool. You can jump in there, spin up sub accounts. We can handle the billing for you, or you can handle the billing, and we'll send you, invoices based on what your agents underneath you use. These tools to facilitate sales into the channel are just as important as, saying we have a channel program. So we're very focused on building that stuff out too. And clearly, as the underlying innovation in the space continues to progress, we're going to be keeping up with that, and providing the same value. I do think that coming in hot in terms of pretty big changes in how these AI phone agents operate is OpenAI's new GPT-4o, direct voice output. So, I don't know if you know how things are built today. You probably do because you've had a number of us on your podcast, but typically you've got a speech to text engine. Maybe people use Google for that. Maybe they use DeepGram, something like that. You have a text to speech, engine. So, you're getting speech out of the person talking on the phone. You're taking that, you're sending it to an LLM, you're waiting for the LLM to output a result, and then you're speaking that back to the caller, right? Maybe 11 labs for that today. Maybe they use DeepGram, maybe they use Google. There's a number of providers, right? But that stack is going to change soon because the way that the new OpenAI, voice stuff works is it receives audio directly and outputs audio directly. So there is no text, getting transferred in the middle of it. And that's going to be a pretty big change, but it's going to come with a ton of benefits and realism, specifically. And it's going to change the game again, and this won't be the last change.
Not at all. But what's your view on the exodus we've seen from OpenAI, or should we say proprietary AI?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's not unexpected, especially after all of the board, stuff went down. I guess it's been, how long has it been? 6 months ago or so?
Yeah. 6 to 9 months,
or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's whenever big shakeups like that happen, you have to expect that, some people are going to be on one side of the fence or the other, and
Gotcha.
and they're going to leave. I personally don't think that it's going to have, some sort of huge, impact in like, OpenAI reliability or, their speed to market, and some of these things. I think they've sort of reached the point where they found product market fit, and now they're scaling that out.
They don't need any of those people. The company's worth $80 billion today. Everything's already done. Anybody who wants is leaving. He's got a big ego. Is not playing nice with everybody else in his sandbox. It's time to get out.
I will say, the bigger risk for them is not these employees leaving, but it's just the fact that open source is catching up so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, Zuckerberg is doing at Meta is essentially throwing wrenches into into all those companies' plans, because the gap is closing quickly.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, like, we get questions sometimes from investors like, okay, well, what LLMs are you using? Are you building any of that in-house? Well, no, because it makes absolutely zero sense to do that. I mean, you have companies pouring billions of dollars into making their LLMs better. Why should we be spending time fine-tuning a model that's going to be out of date by the time it finishes training?
Yeah. Any investor asks you that kind of question, you should just hang up the phone on.
That's about right.
Yeah. You're a moron. Get lost. I don't want your money because you're painful, even with that question. But I love what you've built here on the niche. I mean, you're one of my favorite founders right now, even though I just met you. I mean, you're coherent. You're together. You know what you're doing. Look, we'd love to learn more about you, and really want to follow you and get you out there to the market. I mean, if I come across anybody, I'd recommend you, just on the way you present yourself coherently. We've had a lot of founders on our podcast. Go look at them. And, nobody has coherently described things the way you have, in a simplistic way. So kudos to you, man. I'm a fan. I'm a new fan of Vida. I want a Vida shirt.
Later on in the fall.
Yep, that's right. Lyle will be presenting at TADSummit.
I'll send you one.
Good. Yeah, we made it virtual. Great. You'll be presenting. That's awesome. We like to have the best here at TADSummit. And I've been here for a year with Alan. We've had some pretty impressive companies and people. But really, what a pleasure. And I want one of those T-shirts in the fall.
Absolutely. I'll bring you one.
All right.
Again, Lyle, thanks so much. It was an excellent podcast. Really looking forward to getting this published.